Sí. Okay. Om Jnanatimrandasya Jnanajanashalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyavacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahabaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. So we're hearing from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupad. And this is Madhya-lila, chapter 24, verse number 135. This is explanations of the Atmarama verse. Nirodosh Sharun Nirodo Shanu Shayanam Atmana Saha Shaktibi Muktir Hitvayata Rupam Svarupena Vyavastiti Nirodo Shanu Shayanam Atmana Saha Shaktibi Muktir Hitvanyata Rupam Svarupena Vyavastiti. The living entities and other potencies merge into Mahavishnu as the Lord lies down and winds up, destroys the cosmic manifestation. Liberation means being situated in one's eternal original form after giving up the changeable, gross, and subtle bodies. So,
Which verse is it?
135 of chapter 24 of Madhya-lila. I'll go back a few other verses. I'll go back to verse number 133 because this was a verse which I heard from Srila Sridhar Maharaj when I came to the Mutt. He said, Advaita Viti Patikar Upasya Svananda Simasana Labda Diksha Shatena Kenapi Vayam Hatena Dashi Krita Gopavadu Vitena. Although I was worshipped by those on the path of monism and initiated into self-realization through the yoga system, I have nonetheless become forcibly turned into a maidservant by some cunning boy who is always joking with the gopis. So this is a verse by Bilva Mangal Thakur. And the idea behind this verse is that he was highly situated and respected as a great person in the impersonal society. And then when he refers, so he says, I was Advaita Vidi Patikarupasya Svananda Simhasana Labda Diksha. I was on this Simhasana and I was worshipped and all these things. And then somehow I became converted and made, before as like a guru type figure, and then I'm made into not just a servant, but a maid servant. And who made me into that maid servant? This Krishna, who's always hiding in the bushes in Vrindavan looking for the gopis. So that's the kind of person he is. And he brought me. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he said this verse kind of in jest because when I'd come from ISKCON, I'd been a guru, so he mentioned this verse. But I always remember it because I remember. And I was thinking, how Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he's able to take something which is, like his vision. It goes from the mundane almost up to the highest levels very quickly. You talk with him, and then it just like suddenly it's an overdrive. He's on a very high level just immediately. And he says this in jest, but so then Bhakti Boli. And now, in this Atmarama verse, Mahaprabhu is showing how all these different kinds of living entities, impersonalists, yogis, birds, beasts, hunters, everyone is attracted by Krishna. Atmarama Chamunayo. And he normally would think that the Atmaramas, they're like realized persons. And in the Bhagavad Gita it says, Brahma Bhuta Prashanatmana Shochatina Kankshati Samasarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktir Labate Param, that even someone who's on the Brahma Bhuta platform, who's realized, and what is it? What is the evidence of being realized? It says, na kankshati, na shochati, na kankshati. Shochati means no more lamentation. And kankshati means without desires. So this kind of describes our condition in the material world. Nashochatina kankshati means we do have so many material desires, and then we become full of lamentation, especially so you could kind of say it goes like this, that I want, I lost. So people are crying for what they want, and they're crying for what they lost. And you could say, well, what does that mean, lost? Well, when you lose some, people are always lamenting. They're telling me, oh, when I was young, I did this. Oh, you're not young anymore. You know, I joined and I was like this, and when I was young, yeah, that was, okay, that's nice, but you're not young anymore. So, but people are always lamenting for what they've lost, even if it's their youth or something like that. Even I think when I'm reading the residents of Vrindavan, the gopis, they're saying, and Krishna, he's this person, he's only attracted to the youth of a woman, and when that, in a few years, when that's gone, Krishna won't be attracted anymore. So they're making remarks about the nature of Krishna, but it does reveal something about what is. But Atmarama, anyone, doesn't matter whether they're realized or they're, like later they'll give the example of Mrigari the hunter. He becomes attracted. This goes over here. Okay, so then, Nirodo Shanu Shayanam Atmanas Sahashaktibi Muktir Hidvanyata Rupam Swarupena Vyavastiti. Oh, I missed a verse, okay. Bhakti Bole Prapta Swarup Divya Deho Bhai Krishna Guna Krishna Hoya Bhajay Krishna Pai. One who has attained his constitutional position by the strength of devotional service attains a transcendental body even in this lifetime. Being attracted by Lord Krishna's transcendental qualities, he fully engages in service at his lotus feet. So there's a verse, I believe, by Rupa Goswami that says this is actually the definition of initiation. That one receives a spiritual body in which to worship the Lord. So, but I don't know what that kind of initiation is, but Rupa Goswami refers to that. But that's, that's the ideal position that we're worshiping. When we're worshiping Krishna, actually, we're situated in a spiritual body worshiping the Lord. One who has attained his constitutional position by the strength of devotional service attains a transcendental body even in this lifetime. Being attracted by Lord Krishna's transcendental qualities, he fully engages in service at his lotus feet. So, there's that description that Bhakti Lata Bij, we're like creepers, and the creeper takes shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. And then, the nature of creepers, they mean vine. Like like you say in your country, una vaina, no? So this is a vine, and it wraps around the lotus feet of the Lord, just like you see vines wrap around trees. And then this vine, it produces fruit, and that fruit is, love of Godhead. And you're in this world, but you can still taste that fruit. That's the idea. So then, Nirodo Shana Shayanam Atmasaha Shaktibi Muktir Hitvanyata Rupam Sarupena Vyavastiti. The living entities in other potencies merge into Mahavishnu as the Lord lies down and winds up, destroys the cosmic manifestation. Liberation means being situated in one's eternal original form after giving up the changeable gross and subtle bodies. Dhanavad Maharaj. Very nice. Fluorescent jacket. Krishna bahir mukha doshe maya hoite bhai. Krishnan mukha bhakti hoite maya mukta hoy. By opposing Krishna consciousness, one becomes conditioned and fearful due to the influence of Maya. By executing devotional service faithfully, one is liberated from Maya. Oh, and here's a very nice verse. Bayam dvitiya binivesha tadshad ishadapitasya viparya yosmriti tanmaya yato buddha abhajetam bhaktya kayesham gurudeva tatma. When the living entity is attracted by the material energy, which is separated from Krishna, he is overpowered by fear. Because he is separated from the Supreme Personality of Godhead by the material energy, his conception of life is reversed. In other words, instead of being the eternal servant of Krishna, he becomes Krishna's competitor. This is called Viparya Smriti. To nullify this position, one who is actually learned and advanced worships the Supreme Lord as his spiritual master, worshipful deity, and source of life. He thus worships the Lord by the process of unalloyed devotional service. This is such a nice verse. When the living entity is attracted by the material energy, which is separated from Krishna, he is overpowered by fear. So that's the nature of people in this world. They're fearful. Everybody is very fearful. And I remember that time we were flying with Srila Govinda Maharaj in Russia. And I don't know if you were there.
I was not there.
Okay. So the plane, we were going to leave.
Yeah, on the way to Italy. We were about to crash.
Yeah.
You remember in Narni, then told the story.
Yeah, so we were flying from, we were flying from St. Petersburg to Moscow.
Okay.
And that was on one of those Russian airlines. I forget the name, the main Russian airlines.
Aeroflot.
Aeroflot. Aeroflot or Aeroflop. So anyway, we're on that plane and we leave and we're flying, and then after we're flying a couple hours, I think, someone looks down and they see the Baltic Sea, which is near St. Petersburg, but there's no body of water near Moscow. So someone's suspecting, well, what are we doing? And they
Going in the circle,
trying to use up all the fuel. And it had something to do with the landing wheels. That the landing wheels weren't working. So then they're flying in circles, and then they land they're landing in St. Petersburg, but they have all these ambulances on the side of the runway. When we were flying, it was interesting because Gurudev's servant was, what was his name, Bimalananda, and he was very young. And then they came back into the plane. They said, I think Bhakti-Lalita was sitting in the exit rows, and they moved her out of the exit rows because they wanted some big Russian person to be there in case when the plane crashed that they wanted her out, not to have, they wanted someone who spoke Russian and big person. So anyway, then we're kind of, people noticed that something is going on, and they became very fearful. And then Gurudev, he turned to that Bimalananda. Bimalananda was fearful, and Gurudev said to him, "So, are you ready to die?" Gurudev said to, and you could tell that people were fearful because there was some smell in the airplane. So anyway, then we, at the last minute, but I wasn't fearful because I'm on the plane with Gurudev. So because I'm with Gurudev, I thought nothing is going to happen. Nothing. Gurudev's on this plane. Nothing is going to happen. And even if I was wrong, I'm not going to find out. So what's the difference? So then we land. And then they said, okay, another plane is ready to take you to Moscow. But about a quarter of the people didn't get on the other plane. So the living entity is separate. When a living entity is separated from Krishna, he becomes fearful. That's the first thing. Dutiya, Bhayam Dutiya Vinivesha Tadshad. He becomes fearful. And then the next thing, instead of being and his whole role in life is reversed. He becomes, instead of being Krishna's servant, he becomes Krishna's competitor. And then the world becomes full of little Krishnas. These little Krishnas. And they're all competitors of Krishna. And even to the point of, in modern terms, we would say people are engaged in cross-dressing. Because the living entity would normally be, what's the word? Prakriti, which is feminine, but now they want to become Purusha, like Krishna. So a little bit of, and maybe that's a stretch, but cross-dressing. And they become Krishna's competitor. Daivi yesha gunamayim mama maya duratyaya mam eva ye prapadyante mayamitam tarantite. This divine energy of mind consisting of the three modes of material nature is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. So, that nobody can overcome Maya. But when one surrenders to Krishna, Maya releases that person. Why can't you overcome Maya? Because Maya's Daivi Prakriti is divinely empowered. You know, you're just a small living entity. How can you overcome the illusory energy, which is like an ocean? You're just like a little cork in that ocean. But when you surrender to Krishna, then Maya releases you. Daiviyesha gunamayi mama maya duratiya mam evaye prapadyante mayametam tarantite. So this is Mahaprabhu explaining to Sanatan Goswami all the different ramifications of the Atmarama verse. And so, and this chapter is long, so this is what you'll be hearing for a while. So. But it's very nice. I like Bhakti binu mukti nahi, bhakti mukti hoy. One does not attain liberation without rendering devotional service. Liberation is attained only by devotional service. Shreya shritim bhaktim udashyate vibho klishyanti ye kevala bodha labdaye tesham asog kleshala eva sishyate nanyadyata stula tushavagatinam. My dear Lord, devotional service unto you is the only auspicious path. If one gives it up simply for speculative knowledge or the understanding that these living beings are spirit souls and the material world is false, he undergoes a great deal of trouble. He only gains troublesome and inauspicious activities. His actions are like beating a husk that is already devoid of rice. His labor becomes fruitless. So many people, they think they understand what is spiritual life, but without devotional service, there's actually no true understanding. And you may perform many different actions, meditation, yoga, so many things, but it's all like beating the husk of which is, the rice is already gone and you're beating the husk. You may work up some sweat, but you won't get any result from that activity. And here's this verse again. This verse explained yesterday. Yenye ravindaksha vimukta maninas tvayasta bhavad avishuddha buddhaya aruya kritrena parambatam tata patanti ado nadrita yushmadangraya. That verse is about how the impersonalists can feel they're realized and feel they've attained liberation and they can go very high, but they have no place to land. There's nothing out there. They're just hovering. And then after a while, they have no locus standi. They have no place to be. So they come back to the material world. That's the only shelter they know. So then they may be Mayavadis, they may help open hospitals or orphanages or something like that. But this is, and I told you, this verse has been repeated, and this is what I told yesterday about looking up when I was in Panama, looking up at the buzzards. Buzzards are like little baby vultures. They're smaller, but and they fly. I could see them flying, and I'd look up at the sky, and they'd be high in the sky, and they fly so beautifully without ever moving their wings. They just glide. But then, when they come down to earth, Why do they come down to earth? To eat a dead body, maybe some body some animal that's killed by a car, run over by a car. Then the buzzards will come down and they'll eat that body. So what kind of taste is this? They're looking so majestic when they're high, but when they come down to earth, they bad habits. They're eating dead body and they look like ugly birds. But in the sky, nice. So this verse reminds me of that. Yenye ravindaksha vimukta maninas tvayasta bhava davishuddha buddhaya aruya kritrena parambaram tata patanti ado nadrita yusmadangraya. Liberation. They supposedly attained liberation, but they cannot sustain that position. They will come back to the material world for the only enjoyment they know, because they have no spiritual enjoyment. Ya esham burusham shakshad atma prabhavam ishvaram na bhajanti avajananti stanad brashta patanti ada. If one simply maintains an official position in the four varnas and ashramas, but does not worship the Supreme Lord Vishnu, one falls down from his puffed up position into a hellish condition. So your formal position and your position of being worshipped by others, it won't mean anything. Huh? If you don't worship the Supreme Lord, you'll fall down from that position. Bhakti mukti paileha avasya krishnere bhajai. When one is actually liberated by executing devotional service, one always engages in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Mukta api lilaya vigraham kritva bhagavantam bhajante. Even a liberated soul merged in the impersonal Brahman effulgence is attracted by the pastimes of Krishna. He thus installs a deity and renders the Lord service. So this is a very nice verse. Even a liberated soul merged in the impersonal Brahman effulgence is attracted to the pastimes of Krishna. He thus installs a deity and renders the Lord service. This is a quotation from Shankaracharya's commentary on the Nisringatapani Upanishad. I mean, that's from Shankaracharya. Even a liberated soul merged in the impersonal Brahman effulgence is attracted by the pastimes of Krishna. He thus installs a deity and renders the Lord service. Echai Atmarama Krishnere Bhajai Pritak Pritak Cha Kare Iha Apira Artakoi. These 6 kinds of Atmaramas engage in the loving service of Krishna. The varieties of service are indicated by adding cha, and they also bear the meaning of api, indeed. Entonces, lo que estamos explicando aquí ese es el Atmarama verse, y eso explica que todos los almas están atraídos por Krishna. Entonces, normalmente pensaríamos de Atmaramas como de almas liberadas. Pero Mahaprabhu está explicando este verso de 61 diferentes maneras a Srila Sanatan Goswami. Y él está explicando que Atmarama, él está explicando todas las diferentes palabras de este verso para mostrar que todos están atraídos por Krishna. Y el nombre de Krishna sabemos que es el más atractivo. Pero Mahaprabhu, Sanatan Goswami dijo, yo escuché que tú has explicado el verso de Atmarama Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya de 18 diferentes maneras. Y me gustaría, si me podrías explicar. Mahaprabhu anteriormente en versos había explicado Sambandha Videya Prayojana, la relación con el Señor, el proceso de servicio devocional y la meta que es Krishna Prema. Y ahora Sanatan Goswami dijo que yo no he escuchado de tu explicación del verso de Atmarama, me gustaría. Y Mahaprabhu dijo, bueno, no recuerdo que dije, que le dije a Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, pero voy a intentar explicar algo por tu presencia. Entonces estamos en eso. That's where we're at now. That explanation of Mahaprabhu explaining the Atmarama verse. Atmaramascha api kore Krishna ahaituki bhakti munaya shanta iti Krishna mananaya sakti. The 6 kinds of Atmaramas render devotional service to Krishna without ulterior motives. The words munaya and shanta indicate those who are very much attached to meditating upon Krishna. Nigranta avidyahin kehovedihin yahanje yuktase artera adin. The word nirgranta means without ignorance and devoid of rules and regulations. whichever meaning fits may be applied. So they're very different. The word nirgranta means without ignorance and devoid of rules and regulations. Whichever meaning fits may be applied. Cha shabde kore jari itare tara arta ara ek arta kohe parama samarta. The use of the word cha in different places produces different meanings. Over and above them, there is another meaning that is very important. Atmarama's cha, koribar chai, Pancha Atmarama chai, chak kare lupta hoy. Although the words Atmarama's cha would be repeated 6 times simply by adding the word cha, 5 Atmaramas are deleted. So there may be 6 different kinds of Atmaramas, and you could say Atmarama's cha, Atmarama's cha, Atmarama's cha, and meaning all the 6 different meanings. But according to the rules of Sanskrit grammar, you don't have to repeat Atmarama's cha 6 times. You just 1 time, and then it'll include all the meanings. So now I'm not a Sanskrit scholar, but this is Mahaprabhu is presenting this as significant. He says, Ek Atmarama Shabda Avasesha Rohe, Ek Atmarama Shabde Chai Jana Kohe. Therefore, there is no need to repeat the words Atmarama. 1 is sufficient, and that 1 word indicates 6 persons. Sarupanam Ekasesha Eka Vibhakto Uttaranam Aprayogaha Ramascha Rama Itivat. Of words having the same form and case termination, the last one is the only one retained. For example, the word Rama is used to stand for Ramascha, etc. This is from Painini's Sutras. Tabich ye chakara se samuchaya kai Atmaramascha Munayascha Krishnere Bhajai. By the aggregate use of the word cha, it is indicated that all the Atmaramas and saints serve and worship Krishna. Nirgranda apira api sambhavane shat arta pratame korilun vyakyane. Api added to the word nirgranta is used for exposition. Thus I have tried to clarify 7 meanings of the Atmarama verse. Now, 7 meanings. Now, Mahaprabhu is going to give 61 meanings of the Atmarama verse. So, Antarjami and Sanatan Goswami can understand very clearly, and he wanted to hear this Atmarama description. And Mahaprabhu gives so many examples that are very beneficial for us. Birds and beasts and, hunters, everyone. They could fall within the boundaries of the Atmarama verse. Antarjami upashaka antarama koi. Say Atmarama Jogir Dui Beda Hoy. The yogi who worships the supersoul within himself is also called Atmarama. There are 2 types of Atmarama yogis. Sagarba Nigarba E Hoy Dui Bed Ek 18 Bede Chai Vibed. The 2 types of Atmarama yogis are called Sagarba and Nigarba. Each of these is divided into 3. Therefore, there are 6 types of worshippers of the Supersoul. Okay? Kechit Sva Dihanta Hridaya Vakashe Pradesha Matram Purusham Vasantam Chatur Bhujam Kanja Ratanga Shanka Garadaram Dharanaya Smaranti. Some yogis think of the Lord within their hearts as measuring about 6 inches. The Lord has 4 hands in which he holds a conch shell, club, disc, and lotus flower. Those who worship this form of Vishnu within the heart are called Sagarbha yogis. They worship the Lord having form within the heart and being about 6 inches tall. Okay? Evam haro bhagavati pratilabdha bhavo bhaktya dravad dridaya utpulaka pramodat odkhandya bashpa kalaya mahur arjamanas tachapi chitta barisham shanakar viyumte. So I think when I think also this worship, the Sagarbha yogis, and remember also the pastime of Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva was the son of a king, and when he wanted to get onto the lap of his father, the king's favorite wife, she said, "You were not born from my womb, so you have no right to sit on the lap of your father." Very nice, huh? You have no right to sit on the lap of your father. And then Dhruva went to his mother, and he's a Kshatriya, so he's got strong blood. He's not tolerating insults. And he tells to his mother, what's his mother's name? Suniti? Maybe Suniti. Yeah. Suniti. And then he says, what is happening? And she says, well, she spoke the truth. She's the favorite queen of the king, and I'm not, and I can't do anything about it. And Dhruva was really angry. Well, who can? Who can do something about this? And she said, only the Lord can do something about it. And he says, well, where do I find the Lord? And she says, well, they say the sadhus are with the Lord, worshiping the Lord in the forest. So Dhruva is only 4 or 5 years old. He goes to the forest, and he's in the forest, and there's animals and everything, but he's very determined. And then he meets Narad Muni in the forest, and Narad Muni says, "What are you doing in here?" And he says, "I've come to look for the Lord." And then Narad Muni says, well, Narad Muni tests him, says, "You're just a young boy." He says, "The forest is very dangerous. Go back home and come back out here when you're older. Then you can handle things. But right now, not." And then Dhruva was he told Narad Muni, he says, well, if you can help me, please help me. But if you can't help me, please get out of the way. That's basically what he said to Narad Muni. Then Narad Muni could see that Dhruva is very determined, and Narad Muni instructs him on meditation. And then Dhruva's doing meditation, and he's meditating, and he's sing the Lord in his heart, Dhruva. And why he went there originally, because he was thinking he wanted a kingdom that was be his inheritance that would be better than his brothers. And so anyway, he's engaged in meditation, and he's meditating with half-closed eyes, and he's seeing the Lord. And then one time while he's meditating, the Lord disappears from his vision. And then he completely opens his eyes, his trance breaks, and when he opens his eyes, there he sees Vishnu in front of him. And then Vishnu, he's so overwhelmed seeing Vishnu. And Vishnu says, "What is it you want from me? What is it you want?" And then Dhruva said, "Before I was looking for broken pieces of glass in the dust, but now I have found you. I have found the most valuable jewel. Now I don't want anything else." That's what he said. But Vishnu knew why he'd come, and then Vishnu gave him his own kingdom, the pole star. The pole star became the kingdom of Dhruva. But I always like that he's meditating and he sees the Lord within his heart. Sagarbha yogis are seeing the Lord within his heart. I'm not saying Dhruva is a Sagarbha yogi, but anyway, remember that. Everybody. Evam haro bhagavati pratilabdhabavo bhaktya dravad dridaya utpulaka pramodat odkantya bashpa kalayam hur arjamanas tatchapi chitta padisham shanakar viyunkte. When one is in ecstatic love with the Supreme Personality of God, if one's heart is melted by Bhakti Yoga and one feels transcendental bliss. There are bodily symptoms manifest, and due to eagerness there are tears in the eyes. Thus one is subjected to spiritual bliss. When the heart is overly afflicted, the meditative mind, like a fishing hook, is gradually separated from the object of meditation. Now, try to explain the figurative meaning here, but it's, when one is in ecstatic love with the Supreme Personality of God, if one's heart is melted by Bhakti Yoga, and one feels transcendental bliss. There are bodily symptoms manifest, and due to eagerness there are tears in the eye. Thus one is subjected to spiritual bliss. When the heart is overly afflicted, the meditative mind, like a fishing hook, is gradually separated from the object of meditation. The meditative mind is separated from the object of meditation like a fishing hook. And it's good to get rid of a fishing hook. The meditative mind. So then you can see, well, now what was so important, the meditative mind, is not so important anymore. We're not on the mental level. Yoga Rurukshu, Yoga Ruda, Prapta Siddhyar, 18 Bede Hoy, Chaya Prakar. By these three divisions of advancement in yoga, Yoga Rurukshu, Yoga Ruda, and Prapta Siddhi, there are 6 kinds of mystic yogis. Arurukshur Muner Yogam, Karma Karanam Uchate, Yoga Rudasya Tasyaiva Shama Karanam Uchate. For those saintly persons who wish to rise to the platform of yogic perfection, the means consist of practicing the yoga system by strictly following its regulative principles and practicing the yoga postures, asanas, and breathing exercises. And for those who are already elevated to this platform, the means consist of maintaining mental equilibrium, shama, by rejecting all material activity and practicing meditation to keep the mind on the Supreme Lord. So I'll read one more verse here. Yada e nindriyarteshu nakarmas vanu sajjate sarva sankalpa sannyasi yoga rudas tadochate. When a person is no longer interested in acting for sense gratification, and when he renounces all material desires, he is said to be situated in perfect yoga, yoga ruda. Okay. Echa yogi sadhu sangadi hetu paya Krishna bhaje Krishna gune akrishta haya. When a perfect yogi associates with devotees, he engages in Lord Krishna's devotional service, being attracted by the Lord's transcendental qualities. So, now you, Ratnavali, she's Bengali, so she knows I don't pronounce the yoga, I don't pronounce the Bengali very good.
I'm Bangladesh. I'm a fake.
But, this is Atmarama verse, and you know, I'm reading in sequence, so that's my nature is bad. I mean, if I was reading something very high, like when Mahaprabhu was talking with Rupa Goswami and he's reciting very high pastimes, and it just happened to be that's what came up now in the reading, I would read that also, but less of it. I wouldn't read so many verses. But it may be very high, but I'd be reading it anyway. And that just happened that now I've been reading the Madhya-lila, and now we came on the Atmarama verse. And somebody could say, well, why don't you pick something suited to the Govinda Mela? And I say, well, this is suited to the Govinda Mela. I like it. It's Chaitanya Charitamrita. You know? Like the saying goes, different shloks for different folks. So anyway, now we have ashramars present, and we have many Latin American devotees present also. So we'll also have some, we'll have some classes and set up some in Spanish. And you were not in Mangalarti because you were doing your class in the morning?
Yes, we did class in the morning.
Yeah. Now Mexico is only 1 hour later than here. And Ecuador, where Maharaj, where Puri Maharaj is from, they're 2 hours later. But when Ashram Maharaj was here, and that's because the president of Mexico, who I like also, he stopped with the daylight savings time. So now there's only 1 hour difference because the United States is on daylight savings time, not David savings time. But as far as I'm concerned, I've never liked daylight savings time because the clocks were made according to the movement of the sun. So why change them? But anyway. So anyway, when it was 2 hours difference, Ashram Maharaj was here and he was waking up at 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning or something. Yeah, you were doing. I was in the next verse, and he would go on. He would broadcast at 4:15 in the morning, because it was 6:15 in Mexico. He would broadcast his class, and now he's also broadcasting, and that's why he was late to Mangalarti. So I knew he's broadcasting because I can say that Ashram Maharaj is very, very terco, muy terco, and he will continue with his class. So if anyone here wants to hear Ashram Maharaj's class, then just get up a little earlier and tune in to Ashram Maharaj's Chaitanya Charitamrita class, right? You're reading Chaitanya Charitamrita now?
Now we are reading Navavidhamma.
Okay. You're going on parikrama.
And Maharaj, Mela means? Mela. Govinda, okay, but Mela means?
Melon. It's from melon. People eat they eat melons. Mela just means a party.
Festival.
Yeah. Mela's like a party, I think.
Maharaj, may I have your permission?
Yes, of course.
Shri Shri Guru Guranga Gandharva Kaviraj Goswami.
Any questions? Where did you come from now? Yeah. Huh?
Iowa.
Iowa. Oh, wow. Iowa.
So I'm also waking up at 3 in the morning because I'm used to being 2 hours ahead of you.
Oh. Do you listen to Ashram Maharaj's classes?
I don't speak Spanish.
Oh. But you just get up 2 hours earlier. You get up at 3 anyway? Okay.
I'm usually up at 4 when I'm at home.
Wow. Incredible.
But then I go to bed at 7.
You go to bed with the chickens. Are you on a farm?
No, there are farms around me, but no.
No. You go to bed so early. I thought you were living with chickens. That's very nice. Iowa. Ramai was very good friends with somebody from Iowa. Do you remember her? What was her name? She was good friends with from Argentina, Bhakti. Bhakti Priya, was it Bhakti Priya? Bhakti Priya. And then from Iowa, who was staying collecting in Goswami Maharaj's ashram in San Jose. That was something Manjari. Her name was Manjari.
So Maharaj, today is Ekaji. Ananga Manjari.
Yeah. What's that? Ananga Manjari. And she's from Iowa. And then she went back to Iowa, and she was sending donations to Ramai from Iowa. And I remember, and she was a big collector when she was with Goswami Maharaj, so I remember that. That was always, and
Iowa is eastern coast, central.
no, central, kind of central, in the Midwest, right?
The Midwest is Central Time.
Yeah. I have a daughter. She lives in Kansas City, Missouri.
That's where my dad was born.
What?
That's where my dad was born.
Okay. And well, she's 54 now. Well, sometimes I speak to her. Sannyasis are not forbidden to speak to daughters, so I can speak to her sometimes. Kind of in your neck of the woods, right?
What, Kansas City?
Yeah.
There-ish. One state over. As opposed to like 7 states over where I am now.
Yeah. We're here on what they call the left coast. We're on the left coast. So there's some, divisions in this country. So a lot of the in between the East Coast and the West Coast, snobby people consider it flyover. You just fly over it. There's no reason to stop there. That would include Kansas, Iowa, everything in between. So those people are very snobby. Not in Iowa, the people who.
Oh, people in Iowa are snobby, but we hide it.
Ah.
That's called Iowa nice. It's not really nice.
Oh, I think it's good. That Ananga Manjari, she was always sending donations to Ramai to help. Anybody would help Ramai, we're in favor of that. So any questions? All right. So now we'll sing Hari Haraya.
Maharaj, I have a proposal. Since it's Ekaji today,
Yeah.
and since we begin the party of Mela, why don't sing Shri Hari Vas
Oh,
Bhakti song.
he already did it.
Ah, you already.
Yeah. It's because you didn't go in the temple, you didn't hear. I called you out. So. We could sing it again. Oh, we'll have no, Hari Harayan. Hari Shiva Sari Shri Hari Vasari Giti. Where's page? Hey, somebody stole my book. Tráeme otro libro.
267.
You can sing it if you want, or we'll have Maharaj sing it. With 267? Okay, 267. 267. Sri Hari Vasari Hari Kirtana Vidana Nitya Rambila Prabhu Jagatera Prana Punyavanta Shiva Sandhane Shubharama Utilo Kirtana Dwani Gopala Govinda Vidanya Mandira Bhaja Shankara Tala Sankirtana Sange Sabhoelo Mishala Ramande Utilo Dwani Puriya Akasha Chori Kera Mandala Jai Sabhanasha Chaturdiki Sri Hari Mandala Sankirtana Moje Nacha Jagannatha Mishranandana Sabaram Gete Shobhe Sri Chandana Mala Anande Nachoye Shobhe Hoye Vibora Nityanande Nache Mahaprabhu Vishwambara Ananera Kale Shuddhi Ati Manohara Baba Veshe Malana Hiroha Ye Galaya India Paraya Giya Bhakatera Daya Jaranamananda Shiva Vasanana Jane Jara Rasinache Shiva Sinache Apane Jaraname Valmiki Hoilo Tapodana Jaraname Ajamila Paelo Mojana Jaraname Shabane Samsara Bandha Duche Eno Prabhu Avatare Kali Juge Nache Jaranama Loy Sukha Narana Vedaya Sasabadana Prabhu Jara Gunagaya Mahapraya Sita Jai Prabhu Nama Jai Prabhu Nachaya Jai Jata Bhagavana Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Chanda Jana Vrindavana Dasa Chuchu Kada Juge Gana Sri Hari Vasari Hari Krishna Vidana Nityaram Nila Prabhu Jagatela Prana Now we just do Hare Krishna because it's time to take prasadam. Not prasadam, anukalpa.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare
Vasa Parikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Tilak Nehriya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmalacharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Paravajaka Ashta Tara Sadasi Srimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Paravajaka Ashta Tara Sadasi Srimad Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhaktivedanta Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Kusham Ashram Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai. Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas. Well, wait. Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Ragana. Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasha Ragana. Sad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Prem Sigo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasri Shri Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Vishvavaranya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupad Ki Jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Bandhava Puri Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Srila Sri Bhakti Vigraha Nyasi Maharaj Ki Jai. All the Sri Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopi Govardhan Sham Kuna Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Jo Ki Jai. Shri Purushottam Adam Ki Jai. Baladev Subhadra Jagannath Jo Ki Jai. Bhakti Vigna Vinasha. Okay. Okay. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. All the assembled devotees Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hare Hare.
Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj Ki Jai. Hare